Hi, I'm Bella Blockchain, and this is what you need to know before buying your first Bitcoin. Now let's get started. Bitcoin is a digital currency. It was created as a counter movement to inflation and the banking crisis in 2008 and came around in 2009. What happened then was that the central bank and the government could just print new money to actually save the banks and thereby devalue the single dollar. There was a massive shock for a lot of people. A lot of people lost their homes, their houses, they got into debt. And Bitcoin was a counter movement to the inflation of money that happens when governments and central banks are printing new money. And as Bitcoin was a counter movement to the inflation due to the 2008 banking crisis, it was actually a system invented to replace banks in the financial system. How does that work? Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer system. That means you don't need a central authority like a bank to actually make a transaction for you. Instead, you can do your own transactions. This means you can actually send your own money to whoever you want, just using the blockchain. We will go through what the blockchain exactly is in a different video, but it is important to know that you can just directly send money from one wallet to another without having any third party involved in this whole process. So how is Bitcoin different from other currencies like the US dollar, the euro, or other fiat money? The very first difference between Bitcoin and fiat money like the US dollar is that US dollar can be printed. That means the government can decide to print more dollars, which makes the dollar decrease in value. This is called inflation, and it happens in all kind of currencies we know, the euro, the dollar, whatever you name it, it has inflation. In Bitcoin, that's very different. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin out there, and there is a limit to that. However, of course, you can buy less than one Bitcoin. That means even though there's only 21 million Bitcoin out there, you don't need to own or buy a whole Bitcoin. You can only just buy a fraction of it, which is called like a Satoshi. So, and because Bitcoin is a scarce, a lot of people are not just using it for payments, but also to store their wealth. So if you keep your savings in the US dollar, for instance, this worth will decrease over time, because as there is inflation happening, more money is printed, the single dollar is losing its value. However, Bitcoin is actually the opposite. So a lot of people are investing into Bitcoin and they just leave it as an asset for now, and they don't use it for daily trades or payment methods. This is because they assume that the value of the same amount will increase in Bitcoin but decrease due to inflation in other currencies. So there's like different ways to approach Bitcoin. First, you can use it for payments, but you could also store it and keep it just to store your wealth. However, there is changes in the Bitcoin price. This means like there are charts where you can see the up and downs of the Bitcoin price, and these prices can scare people off when they first look at Bitcoin. However, the overall tendency has been steady in growth, and people assume that it will go up even more, especially that once these 21 million Bitcoin are mined. Another difference between the US dollar and other fiat money and Bitcoin is that Bitcoin keeps your privacy. So when you use a traditional bank, you usually have to show your passport, you have to identify, and whatever transactions you do, it's traceable and trackable. In Bitcoin, that's different. It's pseudonymous. That means it's not anonymous per se, because you still have an address of a wallet and people can see what transactions have been done with a certain wallet, but you don't need to connect this with your real identity. That means people can still see the transactions that are happening, but they don't know that you are the person who did this transaction, if you don't make it public. Another difference between the US dollar and Bitcoin is that US dollar is regional, Bitcoin is global. So the US dollar is a primary currency of the United States. It is also accepted widely internationally, however, there are limits to it. Bitcoin can be used to send and receive payments anywhere in the world, and it always has the same value at a given time everywhere. And it's actually without any bank involved. So that means you are the manager of your own money. There is no bank you can go to do the transactions for you. It is yourself managing your own wallet. This means that you can do your transactions no matter who you are, where you live, what passport you have, or where you send your money to. Last but not least, Bitcoin has no customer service. That means when you use the US dollar or the euro and use just traditional bank transfers, you always also have a customer service. That means if you forget your PIN or something goes wrong with your account, you have always a person to call who can help you. With Bitcoin, again, you don't have a bank, you are your own bank in a way, your own manager. That means you have to secure your own password. But this depends depending on how you use Bitcoin. If you use an exchange platform, for instance, like Coinbase, you actually can use customer support there as well, and you can keep your crypto in a wallet on this service, but it is less secure than when you have your own wallet. If you use a hardware wallet or you secure your Bitcoin by yourself, no one can help you restore that if you forget your key phrase. So this is something you should really keep in mind when you start with Bitcoin. Always write down your key phrase and yeah, make sure you don't lose it. So if you want to get started with Bitcoin, stick around and subscribe. The next videos are going to be about how to create your own wallet, how to actually do transfers on blockchain to send your Bitcoins, and the third video is about how to secure your wallet, how to store your Bitcoin safely. So I hope you're going to find some interesting insights in these videos. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you with any challenges you're facing when getting started with Bitcoin. So yeah, happy to hear from you and see you soon.